All right, we are live.
Is that your way of telling me you're ready?
I'm just, I didn't think it would. Yes. I get rid of that?
All right. This week on the Media Virus Podcast, a popular auto part theft craze could cost you big. Shouldn't that be a catalyst for stopping it? It seems that another 420 will pass without legal cannabis in Delaware. And modern tech is catching up to the ancient cheapskates that erased and reused scrolls. It turns out there was more Bible than there was paper to write it on. All this combat sports broadcaster Tim or Timmy Stanley brings us more Just the Tips, and we visit Maddie's TikTok Nonsense Corner or have real talk with the guys or something on this 128th episode of the Media Virus Podcast. It's the Media Virus Podcast. Let's point and laugh at the world burning around us with executive producer Mike Latoris. We're going to start over. BBC correspondent Stanley McFadden.
Makes me tingly in an unfamiliar way.
Grease Monkey Pete.
Damn, Big Daddy.
Here's the thing about the Media Virus Podcast. It's really well done.
And now, spreading the sage nihilism of an aged Gen Xer, your host and mine, the star of our show, the incomparable Maddie Rockdeath.
Hot damn, do we have a show for you people this week. I am Maddie Rockdeath, the Maddiest of all Rockdeaths, and proof positive that anyone can have a podcast. Speaking of, welcome to the Media Virus. Please like, subscribe, follow, and share. I want to take a minute to thank all of our new subscribers for their support and invite everyone to take a moment and go over to themediavirus.com and check out all of that awesome content. You can also give us a call at 646-VIRUS-01. That's 646-VIRUS-01. You might make it on the show. Who knows? We're going to find out all about this week's guest in the B block, but he is the co-host of the Fight Insight podcast, Tim or Timmy, and Tim hails from Toronto, Canada. How you doing, Tim?
Good. Thanks for having me, man.
Dude, thanks for coming on. Really do appreciate it. And, we do always, like I said before, we do enjoy it when people risk their reputations and come on, with a bunch of ne'er-do-wells such as us.
A guy with such a recognizable name, Tim or Timmy. I mean, or Timmy's just it's not that common of a surname. And
yeah, where does or Timmy come from? But some people might not know that cannabis is completely legal in Canada. Is that correct, Timmy?
That it is, just a few years ago.
Right. And I watch Trailer Park Boys. I know.
Yeah.
That's where I get all my information about Canada is Trailer Park Boys and Letterkenny.
Nice.
There's kind of I guess the 420 is not really a holiday, but do people recognize, or is that?
We are aware of what 420 is.
No, but April 20th is coming up. Tomorrow is
April. Yeah.
And is that like a big smoke out day where everybody kind of makes it, or is it just because it's legal now? There's no, it's not that it's kind of taking away the fun of the holiday almost.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not like we have a parade down Main Street or anything, but it's, I guess it's celebrated as much as it always was. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I guess you just don't have to hide it.
I think that's part of it. There's a lot of questions as to why 420 is, April 20th is a cannabis enthusiast, holiday, so to speak. And the reason's actually quite obvious. It's Hitler's birthday.
Well, actually, Matt, the most common theory on that is that it stems from a California criminal code that they used for the distribution of marijuana. But according to CNN, California's 420 code is actually for obstructing entry on a public land. So that can't be it. The state's medical marijuana program was created from a bill with the number 420, but I think 420 was already happening at that point. The Oaksterdam Cannabis Museum's Chris Conrad says that 420 started as a code in Marin County, California. At the San Rafael High School, back in the 70s, a group called the Waldos would get together at 4:20 p.m. to smoke.
I mean, that makes the most sense.
It was the
You get
time
out of school
it
around 3:30. Somebody's got to go get their weed because maybe they didn't bring it to school.
Right, you got to go hook up. And
right.
So, I mean, that time of day was the most convenient. It was right after school, and the parents weren't home yet. So 4:20.
Especially it was a private school, right? Did I hear that?
It
Or
just
was
was
it
San Rafael High School.
No, it's the 70s too. So
Yeah. And they said that being able to say, hey, it's 4:20, or hey, let's go to 4:20 was code that they could actually say in front of their unsuspecting parents, or, just anybody who they didn't necessarily need to bring into it.
right. Well, I mean, obviously I was making a joke, about Hitler's birthday because,
Well, no, it really is Hitler's birthday.
No, I know, but Hitler was on meth, and meth heads and pot smokers, like, they don't get along. Right?
Yeah. Usually.
Because meth makes people want to steal catalytic converters, and pot makes people hungry. So they get in their car stoned and accidentally kill the tweaker that's stealing his catalytic converters. Tim, is the theft of catalytic converters a thing in Canada?
It is. It's the number one thing, I think, right now.
Really?
I do know about that, and yeah, that's a real problem.
It is a new happening craze.
Do you own an automobile?
What's that?
You own? I know, living in Toronto.
Yeah.
If you being knowing martial arts, and I'd imagine you have control of your temper. But if you caught somebody stealing your catalytic converter, would you like beat the piss out of them for a while?
I mean, do I really want the car back, I guess is the question. Like, would I rather it be a total? I remember back when I had my 2000 Honda Civic, man, I was dying for that thing to get stolen.
Well, they're not stealing the car. They're just stealing the fucking catalytic. They're just stealing this.
But depending on the cost of it that will total.
It could. But in the list, now we have all three of us, Tim, are in Delaware. So we just stumbled upon an article that had the top 10 most stolen catalytic converters in Delaware.
In our region, yeah.
Yeah, so
if you watch or read any sort of news, there always seems to be a story about catalytic converter theft every other day or so.
I've been enjoying the stories where people run over the fuck stealing their catalytic converter. Oh. Like they get in the car not knowing that asshole is there, start the car, run them over. That is poetry. It's karmic poetry to me, and it just makes me giggle. You know what I mean?
Usually the story consists of a warning to a neighborhood or a reporting of a string of thefts on a road. Before we revealed the most targeted cars in this area for catalytic converter theft, what the heck is the catalytic converter? Well, according to Carfax, which I'm not sure why they're telling us what it is, because they're they just tell you if your car's been hit before. Catalytic converters are a key component of the car's emissions control system, reducing the amount of pollution coming out of the tailpipe.
So they don't do a fucking thing except make your car run like shit if it's not there.
They transform hydrocarbons, carbon monoxide, and nitrogen oxides, the bad stuff, into oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon dioxide. So why is the theft of catalytic converters a big thing? It's because they contain precious metals that thieves hope to cash in on, and that would be platinum, gentlemen. They can melt these metals down and convert them into cash. Metals such as platinum, palladium, and rhodium are sought after. Thieves can snag $25 to $300 for converters and can snag $1,400 on a hybrids converter.
Why would a hybrids converter be more expensive?
Because the emissions standard for a hybrid is much higher, so they have to be more efficient.
And the catalytic converter is bigger on them.
Dude, not for nothing. Does anybody remember the Geo Metro?
Absolutely.
That 3-cylinder fucking monstrosity that looked.
Dude, on steroids.
I swear to, dude, why can't we build cars like that? There's no way. There's no way that thing put out the same emissions my Buick does. There's no way.
Can your car run without a catalytic converter though? Like once they take it out, can you still drive your car?
You can drive it, but you lose a lot of like power.
You
and
lose
speed.
you don't have
Actually-
the back pressure that you need all the time.
But you can straight pipe it if you don't have to pass any kind of inspection. Done that a couple times.
Yeah, Pete, you're actually the expert in this.
Yeah, with Pizza Mechanic, we're all just talking out of our ass.
I can answer a few questions here. Yes, you can run the car without it safely, efficiently, whatever. Most cars, you actually don't need a catalytic converter on. They will pass most emissions tests without the catalytic converter on there. But because federal law says it has to be on there, it's got to be on there.
That's why they check with a mirror
If you,
now.
yeah, if you take them off, most cars will actually run better.
Yeah.
There are a small group of cars that if you take it
You
off,
still
yes,
need,
they don't,
it still
they don't,
needs
they
to
don't,
go, but it still needs to go all the way out. Like you can't just cut it and let it sit. Like
No,
you can run without it. You have to straight pipe it.
You actually, yes, you have to put in a piece of pipe to substitute for where that catalytic converter was.
Right.
That's only
I actually did something. I did something a little more illegal with one of my vehicles one year. I took the catalytic converter down and I hollowed it out, and then I actually had an exhaust shop. I had an exhaust shop flange it so that I could unbolt it and put an actual one, that was still had the guts in it in there. So that, because that was when they started, the limits started coming down every year.
Mm-hmm.
1 year it passed no problem with there being no guts in the catalytic converter. The next year, not so much. So I made it so that I could make the vehicle run better 11 months out of the year, and
You could
1
get a
month
little ass on it, and then we got to go take
Yeah.
it through inspection.
My
dad tried to go through
the year.
My dad tried to go through New Jersey inspection with a piece of electrical tape covering the check
The
engine.
check engine light.
Yeah. Yep. What's awesome about New Jersey is I don't know how it is now because I haven't seen one, but back when I was living in New Jersey, like back in the 90s, when you failed inspection, you got a rejected sticker. Right. And the rejected sticker was good for 30 days. But I just kept going back and getting rejected stickers.
Sure. I mean,
And
now,
then-
how much did you have to pay for the rejected stickers?
Well, it was after a while the guy took pity on me and sold me a sticker. That used to be a thing too. You used to be able to buy a sticker. Yeah, I miss the good old days where you could pollute the planet without having to worry about all these fucking regulations. So what are the top 10 models in the area? And then we'll move on to.
Well, according to Carfax, their list of the top cars targeted in the Mid-Atlantic region, you want to go 10 to 1 or 1 to 10?
Well, let's go 10 to 1. It's more fun that way.
All right, number 10, the Toyota Prius.
Hybrid. There you go.
Are we hoping that we're higher on the list? Are we hoping?
I'm hoping I'm not on the list at all.
Not on it at all.
I don't want to be on this list at all.
Okay.
Number 9 is the Chevrolet Cruze, followed at 8 by the Chevrolet Equinox.
Oh shit.
Ford comes in with the Econoline van at number 7. We get
the Econoline van's easy. That's the one. The Econoline's the old one.
Yeah.
They don't even make an Econoline anymore.
I don't think so.
So the Econoline's the old.
Yep.
They're easy to get to.
And
you can do that without jacking the car up.
And there's a ton of them around.
Yeah. I'm surprised. What?
When we're all done with this list, I have a story.
Okay.
Oh, is it long and boring?
No, it's quite short.
You liar. All right.
At number 6, we go back to American assembled Japanese cars, the Toyota Camry.
I used to sell those.
Number 5, the Mitsubishi Outlander. Ford makes the list again at number 4 with the Explorer.
Well, that's just because they're so fucking common. They're everywhere.
And
easy. Catalytic converter is relatively. You wouldn't have to jack it up to get to it.
Honda is
the person getting into it won't see you, so they can just run you right the fuck over.
Number 3 is the Honda Accord. Number 2, Ford comes back with the F-Series trucks. And number 1,
easy to get to.
Number 1 is the Honda CR-V.
Huh. Probably because that's probably light and it can jack up quick.
Well, again, it comes back to easy to get to.
Right. And what metals are actually in it, because they know which ones have the biggest payout and what years are going to have. Where do you fence your catalytic converters, Tim?
I got Johnny down the street. He
Nice.
gave me a good deal on mine. So
Good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
There's a guy that lives across the street from my mom. He's got a whole racket going. Vans pull up, unload into a bin, and then he loads the bin up into trailers after a while and takes them for recycling.
I mean, not for nothing. If the junkyards didn't buy them, people wouldn't do it.
You have to question who they're coming from. But the other side of that is, if you have a reason to have them, like say you've got a mechanic shop that you can say you represent, then you can do it. I work in an industry that gets hit by scrappers every now and again. It's the highway construction, because of our signs. Our signs for a long time were aluminum, and our posters. Yeah,
I think in Canada they say aluminium. I'm joking.
They do. Yeah, they do. No. But for a while, our temporary sign stands are aluminum. For a while, we had a real problem with people coming by and stealing signs and stands, which is why a lot of our signs now we've gone to plastic.
That's the whole reason for PEX piping, right?
It's cheaper on
because you can't. People won't steal it.
Cheaper on the front end, and people don't steal it. I've actually wrestled a bum for a folding sign stand before. Like on the street corner, I'm trying to fold it up, and he's got a hold of one of the legs with a hacksaw in the other hand, saying, "Just let me get a leg. Just let me get a leg."
Wow.
Did you win?
Yes, I won.
All right. Just want to make sure.
You have both your legs?
He does.
Both mine, all four of the legs on the
get
stand.
video of it, man.
It was actually, I'm old enough that this was before there was video on the phone. But
remember when we weren't living in a surveillance state?
Yeah,
Isn't
right.
that awesome? It's fucking great.
But yeah, playing tug of war with a sign stand, 50-pound sign stand, while this guy's trying to cut the leg off of it.
All right. So what's the next story? We're talking about the cannabis, more about 420.
Yeah, we're gonna go another 420 here in Delaware, where we don't have legalized cannabis, and it's just I just wanted to point out that our governor is being a real schlemiel about the whole thing.
Like the whole Delaware House has proposed this bill, and he just won't sign it.
The bills are on his desk today.
They're on his desk.
They are still on his desk, and he has till the 24th to sign them or not sign them, or veto them.
What if he's so stoned he forgets?
Right.
Dude,
definite possibility.
Then ultimately they become law without his signature, because if he does nothing, they just pass into law.
Oh, word. Well, hopefully he forgets.
But his choice is that he can sign them and endorse them. He can veto them, which he chose to do the last time because he wasn't going to be the governor that legalized marijuana. And, if he just leaves it alone, he can make the statement that
I wasn't the governor that legalized.
Right. He doesn't want to put his hand on it.
And if silence is violence, though.
Sure. So that's really the only point I wanted to make with that.
So they found my chapter of the Bible finally, where it explains where all the shit we said before, we were just fucking with you, and nothing really matters. Do whatever the fuck you want.
That's essentially what I'm getting here. A new chapter of the Bible has been found hidden inside a 1750-year-old translation from the Gospel of Matthew. The chapter was found by medievalist Gregory Kessel, who used ultraviolet photography.
He's just a medievalist. I'm an evilist. That's why he's finding. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He used ultraviolet photography on manuscripts in the Vatican Library. The hidden text was found as part of the Sinai palimpsests project, where the researchers aimed to recover texts that were erased or written over by scribes in the 4th through 12th centuries CE. Palimpsests manuscripts.
Can you say that 3 times fast?
Not even once fast, apparently.
Timmy,
where
can you
early
say it at all?
text has been washed or scraped off, then reused, were fairly common due to the scarcity of writing materials. However, centuries later, text can be recovered by illuminating the scripts with fluorescence or different wavelengths of light.
Can you imagine it in like 1,000 years when archaeologists find like a VHS tape?
All the layers.
And all the layers, like this has 300 episodes of something they call All in the Family. It looks like this was how life was for everyone. I love how we like try to read, our own fucking psychology into shit but can you imagine those? That's basically the theory, right? Is that, oh, you're done reading that? Here, let me scrape it off. Right,
Well, yeah, it's basically the people who were writing down the Bible were cheap and they didn't have enough paper products, things to write on. So they would just, you know what? That one's not as important. Scrape it off and write this one on it.
Should we, what do you want to get rid? They had to get rid of something. It's like, what do we get rid of? That part where we tell people to masturbate constantly. All right, let's do that. It's
what it essentially boils down to is the people who were in charge of the religion. I don't know exactly when the first pope came online.
Man, I know I saw the Da Vinci Code, man. I know that.
Yeah, this really sounds like the plot to National Treasure 3.
Yeah,
they're filming it right now. And I feel like this is you probably just stumbled upon the script.
I feel like this is just overhyped. Like they're talking about black light and different and fluorescence or whatever.
Listen,
this guy was just sitting around high with looking at his 3D posters, and he went, "Wait a minute,
hold on, man. I think I see a whole new chapter of the Bible, bro."
That's exactly what happened.
You want oatmeal cookies?
Well, they've already deciphered 74 manuscripts, but the latest find was particularly special, containing a translation a century older than the oldest Greek translations, including the Codex Sinaiticus.
Sinaiticus.
Yeah, Sinaiticus.
How the fuck did Pete know that word?
12 years of Catholic school.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It paid off.
Yeah, once on the Media Virus podcast. Thanks. The tradition of Syriac Christianity knows several translations of the Old and New Testaments, Kessel said in a statement. Until recently, only 2 manuscripts were known to contain the Old Syriac translation of the Gospels. The translation, first written in the 3rd century CE and copied in the 6th century CE, has not yet been released in full, but offers slightly more detail than the Greek translation of Matthew chapter 12. In verse 1 of the Greek translation, a sentence reads, "At the time that Jesus went through the grain fields on the Sabbath, and his disciples became hungry and began to pick heads of grain and eat," while Syriac translation, discovered by the Kessel's ends, began to pick the heads of grain, rub them in their hands, and eat them. So,
so it's just those little fucking details that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you think of all the words that are compiled into what we call the Bible, if you mess up 2 or 3 here and 3 or 4 over there, it probably changes the book by the time you get to the back end.
Especially if you're like the difference between the NIV and the King James version.
Yeah,
there's these minor differences. I've read both of them front to cover, obviously. That's a lie. But that's it. It just fascinated me that after all this time we're finding all this.
That's why people petition the Vatican to go down into that library and look at stuff, because they get these ideas. Hey, wait a minute, maybe if we shine this light on it,
if we shine different light on that shit, bro, and
they're only telling us the version they want us to know about. Dubious.
Do you think
it's like any bad, conspiracy movie.
What's that?
Do you think they let you smoke the pot right in the Vatican library? Or do you think you have to smoke before you go down?
You have to eat edibles, man. You can't be smoking around the Vatican, dude.
Got to sneak in your vape pen.
I mean, you just got to wait till they start burning the frankincense and then place it. The shit covers it right up. Everybody knows that. You burn incense to cover the pot smell.
Hey, you light the frankincense. You bring that myrrh over here.
All right. Well, after this, we're gonna get to talking to Timmy B from the Fight Insight podcast. I want to check. Thanks everybody for checking out A block. We're going to continue on into B block, but Mike's going to make his little adjustments. I want to remind everybody that you can give us a call here at 646-VIRUS-01. That's 646-VIRUS-01. You can shoot me an email, Maddie@themediavirus.com. You can PML, Professor Mike Latoris at themediavirus.com, or Pete at themediavirus.com. You can shoot us an email if you feel like talking to us. Or what's
JTT?
JTT stands for Just the Tips, but JTT at the mediavirus.com. If you would like love advice from our resident love doctor, the PhD in dickology, Big Daddy, our BBC correspondent, Stanley McFadden, who will be with us later in the show. Did I miss anything, Mike? Oh, no, that's it.
No, We'll talk about that
anything?
later. No, well, you might want to check out 100 Hottest Women on Facebook or Instagram.
Oh yeah, that's right.
A friend of the show administers that, and there's some new content going up. He's starting to put up video top 10s. So if you want to go check that out, check him out on Facebook and Instagram. It's on 100 Hottest Women. And we'll be back with the B block of the Media Virus podcast, number 128, right after this.
That will be funny tomorrow as well.
All right. Cursor, where did you go?
Maddie, you gonna run out and put some like chicken wire under your Buick Enclave?
I mean, I'm not that dude. You know what I mean? I'm like, even like, if you remember during the pandemic, I was not like wearing masks unless I was told to.
Like, he'll go out and hit you with the bat if you're trying to steal it.
Yeah, no, I'll be if I catch you, but like if it, I'm not gonna like. I just feel like there's a level of paranoia that I try to avoid. You know what I mean? I'm not a reactionary person.
I've been threatening for the past 25 years to mount a headlight and a horn on a fence post at the front of in my front yard. We're on a corner lot because everybody runs the stop sign, and just have a button inside that I can press that'll light up this headlight and blow the horn.
Nice.
Scare the living shit out of people.
My wife's like, no, our homeowners won't cover that.
Well, you take it down.
Yeah, I'm not going to make
you
it.
You go remove the evidence, for Christ's sake.
Lift off and run like hell with it.
How we doing, Mike?
We're ready to go. I started the next recording.
All right, cool. All right, so we're here returning with the B block. We're here with Timmy from the Fight Insight podcast. How you doing, Tim?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. We've done that already, but sorry.
Someone might have joined late.
They could have. And it is it's a different show. It's a different, like we posted as 3 different Spotifys. Just to kind of like, we were having a little chat before we started rolling. And one of the things I absolutely hate doing is chatting before we start rolling, is because I kind of shoot your wad, so to speak, and then you get it. Cause I've been doing audio work for a long time. Right. So is Mike. And I started with internet radio, doing audio work and doing shows on my friend's internet radio station. He ran the station. And so that's kind of the Morpheus of the show. I call myself Matty Rock Death because that radio station was called Rock Def Radio. That's where the name came from. And
Nice.
the Media Virus is the name of my first band. So, so this all kind of just is my, you know, as much as me as, you know, the rest of the guys allow me to interject. This is a team sport, right? So that being said, I'm very old, and we were introduced. You asked us why we don't do the video presentation on Spotify. Now you do your video your video present, so you just record one item and then it goes to both places.
I record on one platform, and then it spits out my my audio and my video file, and then I upload it, and away it goes.
Wow. Yeah, we're not doing it right. So
like the biggest thing is I try to do it in one shot, right?
Yeah.
Like I try not to have to edit or anything like that, because the minute I edit, it takes me forever.
Right.
So pray to God everything runs smooth, and that my guests don't ask me afterwards to delete a part, because that often happens.
Yeah. So yeah, we also run in the live to hard drive format. But you know, I stop when we take that break. I break my audio file so that it minimizes my editing later.
Yeah.
But we're giving two different, because it was one of those things where we're old, and you keep explaining that you're the same age as us. Nobody believes you. And he's got look at the full set of teeth. There's no wrinkles. Look at him.
Yeah. I'm half Asian though. That's why.
Oh, is that what it is? Does that give you that youthful?
Yeah, a little bit of youthfulness. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, so are you you a single man, or are you attached to anyone?
No, married for 2 years.
Ah, right on.
Yeah.
Somebody landed you, huh?
Yeah. Well,
good for them.
Other way around. I'm the lucky one, but yeah.
So wait, you married up?
Oh yeah. 100%.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I would like to see this. I guess you don't want to share that, but
I mean,
I understand.
How far up can you go? The guy looks like this, and he's.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Look how.
No.
Is Canadian a thing?
Was what Canadian?
I said, is Canadian a thing?
It is now.
I know. I've heard around here. Some of my friends refer to the Blasian girls, the black Asian girls, in a good mix.
Oh yeah, it makes a hot mix. They're hot chicks. And I mean, look at this. Look at this. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. I don't usually gush over male guests.
No,
it's not my thing. Just so you know, I'm not hitting on you in any stretch of the imagination. I'm struck by how youthful you look.
I mean, just doing some quick math. The average age on the show right now is 47.
Yes, but I guess martial arts and getting into martial arts, I guess, has helped you, stay fit. You probably lived a much healthier life than I. I can tell you that.
Than any of the three of us, clearly.
Right. So was that what originally attracted you to martial arts, or was
the prospect of remaining youthful? No,
but being healthy, just the being fit.
Yeah. No, what brought me into martial arts, actually, I did it later in life. It was I had always been into sports as a kid. I did soccer and tennis was my two main ones. And then as I got older in university, there was a guy that was running a martial arts academy. And he looked exactly like John Kreese from The Karate Kid. The major bad guy from Cobra Kai. And he was running
the dojo leader, right?
Yeah, the main guy.
Yeah, no mercy.
Yeah. And I thought it was him, actually. And he was like tough as nails. Like anytime you did something wrong, he would come over and put like a nerve hold on you, and you'd be on the ground and what. Like he was hardcore tough, and I loved it. And then so ever since then, through university, I did it, and then been doing it up till now. So it was just, and then UFC came along, and it just became such a big thing, right? Like it became more part of popular culture, I guess.
Do you compete?
No, I never did, because I started late. It was hard for me to like find competition. And then I also think that because I grew up always competing in sports, I never really felt like I needed to compete. Like I never really had that desire. And then, and also like I work a corporate job and stuff. So when I would come into work with like black eyes and stuff, like it seems stupid, you know? But I would help guys in their training camps and stuff like that. So I'd help guys that were amateur fighters and stuff prepare for their fights. And
that's how you got the hot chick, right? She walking around with black eyes and shit.
I definitely was in better shape when I met her than I've progressively gotten through our relationship and marriage. Yeah.
Oh, he said 2 years. You got married like right before the pandemic.
During the pandemic. During it.
So
yeah.
Helped
save me money, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed the pandemic. I kind of felt like it was fun because everyone in the world had the same perspective I did. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you're not safe anywhere. And not that, and again, I've explained before, I'm not an overreaction person, but I know I'm not safe anywhere. You know what I mean? It doesn't really, there's so many things that can happen that we just don't, we walk around in la la land. Your leaders are lying to you. I've known that my whole life. So I've really,
some people still don't know that.
Well, because I'm a born contrarian, and I come from a long line of contrarians because my real last name is Sanizak. And apparently I've been told it's Canadian. I've been told it's like between native and French Canadian.
Okay.
All right. However, that was just the dude my grandmother was married to when she had my dad. Not necessarily
his dad.
So, and this is back in the 30s. So, I found out that my real name is Eustace, and then I went digging, and on our family crest, it says, the English translation is, "Why do you persecute me?" And I found that in my 40s, and I pissed myself laughing. That's the funniest thing I've ever heard. The Eustaces have taken the wrong side in almost every battle in Ireland, and only a few survived. Over and over. It's like there's a list. There's a Eustace family website, and there's a list of all the like turmoil in Ireland and what side what person was on. Because Irish remember that shit, and and so that was that was
your legacy.
My legacy. But my real grandfather's favorite pastime was to walk into a bar and see who wanted to fight. Just literally ask who wants to fight? Who's the toughest in the room? Right? This was a pastime of his. And he was charged with murder because he beat the shit out of a guy. But he took him home. Like, he beat the piss out of him, right? But then he's like, "Oh, well, I'll give you a ride home." Took him home. Nice. Put him on his porch. Fucking dude died on his porch. I've never met this dude, my grandfather, but apparently my grandfather's defense was he was alive when I left him. So, the world used to be a much more violent place, and, kind of knowing how to defend yourself goes into it. But I see the excitement and the appeal. Now, my thing was jumping into a mosh pit. Like, I was jumping into the pit, you know what I mean? And we weren't necessarily out to hurt anyone as an individual, but we were just unloading, and doing whatever moves. Like, I would, I loved it when that Sick of It All video came out, did all those punk dances, like the gorilla and the lawnmower. And like, I used to do all those things just to be like, because, Sick of It All had that video. And we, and if there was a guy out to hurt people, he got taken out quick. Like, somebody took care of that shit. So I see the appeal of like two dudes getting into a cage or watching it, getting excited about watching two dudes getting into a cage and beating the piss out of each other. But I don't necessarily see the appeal of being the one getting into that cage. So what made you like kind of go like start an MMA podcast? Like, has MMA always been like a thing for you? And that was just the one thing that.
Yeah. No, it was no. It was pandemic. induced, right? So my podcast is just
changed your life a lot. You had a great time during the pandemic, dude. You started a podcast,
everything.
got fucking married.
Yeah, it's
That's
everything
awesome.
good. So I was doing martial arts and a member of a local gym for several years. And then when pandemic hits, you can't do anything. So you're stuck, right? You're stuck. I was living in a condo at the time. So my wife and I were in like a 500 square foot condo. There's nothing to do. We're just there. And in the condo at the peak height of the time, like you couldn't even leave your door. Like everybody was so nervous to even be in a hallway together. So you're literally confined to this.
Spraying your packages with Lysol and shit.
Yeah, trying to find stuff to do, right? And then there's a comic book store that was near me that was running like a podcast themselves. So they were doing that and then asked me to be a guest a few times. And I liked it. I enjoyed it. But I didn't like not having the control of it,
Oh, yeah.
And so then I was reaching out to some of the other fighters at my gym. And one of them was a guy who had always wanted to do something in media. And we decided, let's do it. And then we were really just going to do it for fun for like, I don't know, the few weeks that we were told the pandemic would last.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just kind of kept going and it kept spiraling. And then we were getting like UFC fighters coming on as guests and stuff. And like it was actually becoming something. And we were having a good time and having fun with it. And then shit, I can't stop. So it just keeps going. And I'm having a good time. So
I think that's the best part is having a good time. I mean, with this show, like I explained, we try to just mimic a radio show, like what we hear on the radio. Mike has a silky smooth radio voice. And it was one of those things where him and I did a podcast before this, and Pete was on that podcast too, where we really didn't necessarily want anybody. We were making such dark, terrible jokes on this thing that we didn't really promote it. I promoted it because I don't give a shit. But nobody else really wanted to have their face attached to it. And that kind of fell apart at the beginning of the pandemic. And then for a while we were kind of itchy, and me and Mike were kicking around these ideas. And it was like, well, I've been a producer and a sidekick on these radio shows and things like that. I've been a host and producer. Which one of us is going to be host? Which one of us is going to be producer? And once we started to think about it, the choice was clear. I want Mike on all of the imaging. There's no reason to have Mike, making shitty comments.
Other than I'm good at it.
He's really good at it too. But I want Mike on the imaging, and then I'm going to, ramble on about nothing and ask stupid questions. So we're all playing our parts really well.
Yeah. No. And hey, when you guys invited me on this podcast, and thank you, when I was listening to it, and again, I didn't know it was a video at the time, so I'm only listening on Spotify.
Yeah.
Every time I heard Mike's voice, I thought it was fake. Like, I didn't understand that this was a real person. I thought this was like a computer or something because it sounds so fake. Like it sounds so perfect. It's crazy, Mike. Yeah, good for you, buddy.
Yeah. So like part of the inspiration for this is it's like kind of his reel. If he wants to, he can point to something that he's doing with his voice because he does voice work.
Nice.
I want to, hang out, meet new people, and I kind of espouse my opinion and sprinkle that in and talk about stupid shit. So, well, what podcasts do you listen to? Like, what do you usually check out? I
listen to, there's one called Sex and Violence.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, that's a really good one. That's an ex/current UFC fighter, Ashley Evans Smith. She started it during the pandemic as well. She's I don't know what you would say, like a cool looking chick, like kind of like a bombshell kind of look, bombshell/gothic kind of look.
Mm-hmm.
And she runs a podcast, and obviously she's a UFC fighter, and so she would have fighters on, but she would just talk about sex, their sex, like everything, and it got pretty risque. And I just liked it because it was so different. Like it was like, and I couldn't believe the people would talk about the stuff they talk about. Like they would open up.
That's the best interview to listen to, is the one where you're in awe of what's being talked about.
Yeah, it was very like, because I grew up listening to Howard Stern. So to me, it was very like Howard Stern meets the UFC. And I'm like, holy shit, it's the two things that I really like, and they've merged. And so that was really good.
Howard's a brilliant interviewer. And when we decided we were going to do interviews, I really stopped and thought about that for a long time, because I listened to Howard quite a bit. And I kept going back to there was one time that he ended up with Barbara Walters in studio. She was promoting a book, and they knew each other from her doing an interview with him. And she went in studio, and they had I think it was like 15 or 20 minutes. And, he had that whole production staff with video cameras and everything. They had audio of her in the hall afterwards, and they were asking her a few questions, just to, the basic back end debrief. And they asked her what her thoughts on it were. And she said, he's really good at something that I really have to work at, which is being friendly and disarming, and really bringing somebody into this place where they're ready to talk about these things. She said, he apparently has it very naturally, because, she said, I do weeks of research to get to that point where I can do it when a person comes out into the room in front of me. She said, I walked into that studio, and within 2 or 3 minutes, somebody who knows the formula, he had me completely disarmed, and I felt like I had to put my guard back up because I was going to say something I didn't want to. And it occurs to me, the idea is you need to get people to a place of comfort. And just have a conversation.
Yeah.
And
I've realized that too myself. Like I found that when I began the podcast, I would have guests on, and the beginning would be very boring. And I would ask questions that were kind of boring, or that, like, I realized after, I'm like, well, if I wanted to know that question, I could have watched 17 other interviews that same guy has done, or that girl has done, right? That doesn't do anything. So as time has gone on, I've tried to do, and then I would always realize that as the podcast would go on, it would be much better. And the better part of the interview would be at the end. Now I try to always start the interviews with a question, either like a fan question or something that's funny or out there, that gets them to open up immediately. And then from there, then you can ask about anything you want, but it's now always bolted to that sense of comedy or openness that they already have with you, right? Yeah, it's much, much better.
Well, that's kind of the thinking between what we call our A block. You know what I mean? We wanted to move quickly. And we're looking for, and we want the most recent, it's got to kind of happen in that week, right? Or the news story has to be published in that week that we're going to cover. And we're just pick 3 stories that we think we might be able to make some jokes about. We think that get somebody else's perspective, try to get that, the guest to kind of warm up, understand, get an idea of who we are. And, we get an idea of who they are. And I kind of hope, and I've heard from guests that, the two things are the guest sheet and the A block kind of like softened me. And so that was kind of where now, what would you say, what was your opinion of it? Like coming in, sitting here and sitting in through A block, like what were you thinking?
Sitting in the and ignore the guest sheet.
No. I mean, just
the guest sheet was really cool. I appreciated that. Like, I'm looking at that and I'm like, shit, I should do something like that. Like that was pretty cool. I really appreciated that. In all honesty, and I think you kind of touched upon it, I don't know if it was when we were recording or not, but I like how you said, like, I'm trying not to talk to you at all until the podcast starts.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised that, like, when I came in, it wasn't like, hey, this is what we're going to do, this is blah, blah. It was just kind of like, boom, like you started going. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I just got to fit in here and figure this out. I like that because, I've noticed that for myself. A lot of times I'll have like wicked conversation with the guest before I hit record.
Yeah. Don't do that.
Like, shit.
You can't recreate that.
No, you can't. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But you can tell them to hold on to it. And that will usually.
Yes, I will do that.
You can say, listen, let's bench this. Let's move on.
Yeah. Let me just press start and then let's go. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Or just, let me hit this button real quick.
Yeah.
And that's a lesson. That was a hard lesson learned during when I was doing a show called Death Rock PA. And I was living in Philadelphia, and it was goth industrial. And we would get interviews of bands that, that were in the scene. And they'd call up, and while the music was playing, we kind of, the host would chit chat with them. And I'd be like, shut the fuck up, shut up. Because after a while, you learn that all the chit chatting is done, while the music's playing, and then you come on, it's like, hey, man, sure you guys are on tour. And you go, yeah. Yeah, we are.
Where can we see you next?
Where are you going to be? He's like, oh, yeah, we're going to be. I'm like, we just had this really cool conversation about,
organic, flowy conversation, true interest. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where I try to get. And then that's where we try to go. But I guess when you're talking about, because one of the questions you're always ready to answer is like, what makes a good podcast? And I think we just covered that, is that just making the I want to say customer. I'm just so fucking retail, job oriented, but making the what's that?
The listener is the customer.
Listener is the customer, but the guest, making the guest feel as comfortable as possible so that, we get a good interview. Who's been your favorite guest?
Very easy to answer. Just 2-3 weeks ago, and he fights this weekend, Bobby King Green. So he is a 10-year UFC vet. Dude is one of the craziest fighters. Like, if you don't know who I'm talking about, I can tell by your look, you have no idea. But look him up. The coolest, slickest fighter, man. And this guy, my favorite of all time, never thought in a million years I would get him on. I never think I'll get anyone on, right?
That's how I am too.
Never did I ever think I'd get him on. And about 2-3 months ago, some guy starts messaging me and he's like, hey, I'm a fan of your podcast. I listen to you. I know you love Bobby. I actually grew up with him. I'm going to get him to come on your podcast. And I'm like, no way this happens. Yeah, there's the man. So I'm like, no way this happens that this guy comes on. And then after a few messages, and he's showing me text messages, turns out that Bobby's like, look, I don't do interviews. I only do it if they pay me, blah, 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 stuff like that. I'm like, all right, cool. I said, thanks for trying, whatever. Don't think anything of it. And then a couple months pass by, I wake up and on my Instagram, it says, Bobby Green has tagged you in a story. And I turned it on, and Bobby Green has plastered the Fight Insight podcast Instagram page on his story, and he's in his car, and he's doing a shout out to me saying that he's heard that I've been looking for him. He's heard that I'm a fan, and he's going to come on my show.
Oh, shit. So his people said no.
No. He said no. But then when his when his childhood friend tells him, hey, look, you got to go on this dude's podcast. He did it as a favor to his friend, knowing that I was a huge fan. And he came on, what was it, like maybe 2-3 weeks ago. Best interview ever. The dude was cooler than I even could imagine that he would be. Exactly as he is on TV, exactly as he is in the cage. Just the best dude. Fantastic interview. I was going to end my podcast with that episode. I thought, I will never achieve anything this amazing in the show. What more could I ever ask for?
What you do is you fucking take him, right?
Oof.
And you reach out to the next dude and go, listen, Bobby Green was on my show. You should come on my show. That's how this shit works.
Yeah.
I mean, you just gotta farm that out there. I mean, do you get most of your guests through Instagram or,
Yeah, mostly through Instagram. I think now that I've been doing it for like I said, 115 episodes, 2 years and a bit, I've made connections with some agents and managers of fighters. So sometimes they'll say to me, hey, I've got this fighter who's got a fight coming up. I'd love for you to interview him. Or, a lot of these fighters train with one another, or they know one another.
Yeah.
And so, I've been very fortunate. A lot of the guests, we actually become pretty good friends. Like that we message back and forth or talk on the phone every now and then after the fact, like for years after. And so I've been able to make some good relationships, and then they, hook me up with some people. So it's kind of cool.
You're very fortunate in the grand scheme. It's a relatively small, relative to other international sports, it's a relatively small group of people that are movers, shakers, and are connected, so everybody
Yeah.
kind of knows one another.
Yeah.
I don't want, I'm not trying to say that it's tiny, but it's a smaller group of people.
It's the perfect
all
niche.
know one another.
I mean, that's, when we started, and I still, we researched what types of podcasts, how to do a good podcast and all that. And they, the biggest advice you get all the time is, you got to have a niche. You got to have this niche. And I'm like, I prefer to fire a shotgun than a 9mm. I mean, I'm, and it's so, I don't think I have any kind of expertise on anything either. So, I mean, having this fandom and then getting into it, I wish you the best of luck. The story's just been awesome. I guess you've been doing, is it weekly on the dot? Like, do you guys have
weekly on the dot every Thursday at 3 a.m. Eastern. That's when it drops. For absolutely no reason, but aside from, I figure like, okay, that's going to get people on the Thursday morning when they wake up, right? Because if I put it at midnight, it's going to be awkward, blah, blah, blah. Anyways.
I got you. That makes sense.
Yeah. So Thursdays is the day. It turns out that we do get quite a few listeners from overseas because we've had quite a few guests that are overseas. So we start to build our audience that are like kind of around the world.
Very cool.
So then when we're dropping it actually at 3, sometimes it's 3 p.m. You know what I mean? Like it's 3 the next day anyways, but every day, every week, Thursdays. I don't think we've missed. Yeah. We haven't missed a week since we started. So you drop it, but it's all recorded. Yeah, I record them on the Tuesdays, Monday, okay. Tuesdays, and then I have like one grace period day in case a guest bails on me last minute. You know what I mean? I have one day that I can kind of thing. But yeah, then I pre-record them and then drop them on the Thursdays. That's how it goes. Yeah, and then promote the shit out of it as much as I can for that 1 week solid, and then I go on to the next. All right. So I guess you use Instagram for a lot of your promotion. What else do you use? So Instagram, we are on TikTok, we're on Twitter, and then I think we have a Facebook page. So when I started this podcast, I had a co-host, and he was in charge. I was in charge of. I was kind of like the lead host, right? And then I was in charge of kind of booking the guests, setting up doing all the audio and tech stuff, preparing the topics and all that, and doing the Instagram, because Instagram was like the main contact point for me to find guests.
Sure.
And then my co-host was supposed to do the TikTok, the Twitter, and the Facebook. And then, I hope he doesn't watch this, but a few years go in, and I realized he wasn't doing anything. And it was like really, really dead, our other platforms. And that's what kind of instigated the conversation that he then exited the show. And I lost my co-host, my permanent co-host, for like, I guess over 1.5 years, he was kind of the co-host. And then, so now I've taken over that. So I will do TikTok. I do some YouTube shorts, obviously, right? Like repurpose some of the material from the show, and I'll do shorts. But yeah, Instagram is the main, and then Twitter, just because Twitter's so easy to do. And then TikTok is just because I forget to. I never understood Twitter. I don't understand Twitter. It just doesn't make sense to me. What though? But people use it. Like, I know people use it a lot. But and I don't. I just don't. I don't understand. I never understood it.
With it for a while and then kind of stopped. I don't know. Again,
I do it just to do it. And then so that if people want to see you there, they can see you there. And hey, look, if I can find one new listener on Twitter, then it's worth my time, right?
Yeah, just I've got a handful of things automated to different places, but we need to really beat on somebody to be the social media person.
Yeah.
I've been telling Pete he's got to fucking do this shit. I gave him all the permissions. I don't know why the fuck he hasn't done a goddamn thing. We're gonna have to have a talk about replacing him. Or find someone that does something, for fuck's sake. Yeah. Or increase his pay a bit, maybe. Well, yeah. I'll give him another 30%. Hey, you're welcome, Pete. I just got you that. That's right. 30% of nothing is
30% of nothing.
Still 30%.
You know, I this is the issue that I have, and you know, the way you do it, I guess it just, you know, you record it to a hard drive, or is the program that you use?
So I'm using what the hell's it called? I'm using StreamYard.
Yeah, we've looked into that, but
I use StreamYard, and once I record it, it just shoots it out as an MP4 file or whatever, and then that's it. So I technically it saves onto my computer, but then
then you upload it.
That day I'm uploading it to YouTube and Anchor, and that's it. And then I can delete it and it's done. Easy peasy.
Lemon squeezy. Because what I started doing is because we've started taking to kind of like live streaming the recording session, and that's really just kind of like just so it's there.
Yep.
And people can watch it. It's like a behind the scenes type of thing too. But you know, I've taken the initiative of, I'm going to, you know, breaking out the interviews that I've been doing, because you know, the first part's just kind of timely and not really that important, but the interview is timeless, right? So taking the interview, making it an actual video, giving it a beginning and like an end and all this other fun stuff, and then, you know, posting that to YouTube as a video, and then trying to repurpose little moments that, you know, the way the show flows, we have to kind of edit some of this little moments together to make them flow and make sense, make them a bite-sized, because I have this problem with rambling on and stammering. I don't know if you've noticed that or not, but I have this thing where I just kind of do that. So taking this show and putting it into like bite-sized nuggets, you know, could drive a person insane, I would imagine. But you know, if you were, because I think one of the ideas is, you know, I want to connect with more people, you know, and more people like me. And I think, you know, starting a podcast is one of those things that just is kind of everyone's doing. So, you know, we've talked about Anchor. We've talked about is that's the best way to do it. Get an Anchor, right? And just,
you know, like reach out to someone, like you said, everybody does it.
Right.
The thing is, I think what the stats is it like 99% of people die before 10 episodes, right? Or there's some sort of stat that like
most podcasts,
everything doesn't last 10.
Yeah.
So I was lucky enough at the time I had hooked up with some group on LinkedIn, and I met a guy, and now I'm part of a network in New York as a result of that connection. And so that guy's kind of like taught me a little bit of things to do on my podcast. It's Rageworks Network podcast, and which we're on there. So shout out to them. And you know, like reach out to people. I guess if you're saying like, what do you want to do if you want to help start a podcast, like just go ask someone, like freaking throw a rock out your window and you'll hit a guy that started a podcast. Pretty much. Ask that, and then go ask that guy. Like I've had a few people reach out to me, you know, and like some of my guests or some of the fighters agents and stuff like that have reached out to me and said, hey, we want to start a podcast. Can you just sit down with me for 30 minutes and tell me what I got to do?
You know what, you can literally start a podcast with your phone. You can go buy one of those little microphones that you see on TikTok.
Yep.
I was using those on the show. I was using that thing on the show for the longest fucking time. It went right into my phone, and I did it, and I zoomed. You don't need to do that. If you want to do is you can just record your podcast on your phone or live stream. There's a million ways to do it. And it's simple.
It's all free, and it's all free.
It is. And you can go to the MediaVirus website, and you can see this microphone on Amazon. I think it's like $60.
Right.
For the mic, the sound card plugs into my phone. It plugs into the computer. It plugs into anything I want it to use. It's such an easy thing. But that creates a lot of competition. And, you know, you're fighting. Because I notice I only have so much time to listen to things.
Yeah.
And I have this bad habit where I really enjoy the Adam Carolla show. The Adam Carolla show is 2 hours long.
Yeah.
My commute's, you know, 2 hours, an hour one way and an hour back. And then I'm usually thinking about, you know, my own show and ways to make it better. So there's only, it's kind of fighting for, you know, position. even if you have a friend that like digests podcasts on the daily and getting them to introduce, I still have friends that like, I start talking to them. I was like, I do a podcast, right? It's like, hey, you told me.
No, that's okay. That's the number one thing I tell people when they talk about starting a podcast and stuff. I go, do not rely on your friends or family.
No, they will not help you.
Get that
they don't give a shit.
Notion out of your head. Not only will they not help you, they're hoping you fail.
Yeah, they're actively refusing to help you.
They will not promote it for you. They will not help you. Do you know how many times I have to ask my fucking friend to just vote on my Instagram story? Like he won't. I see him see it.
Yeah.
You can't just click one of the freaking options, dude, because you know that helps the algorithm, blah, 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 right? They'll just freaking scroll past. Like it's crazy. So no, your audience, your prime audience, your more dedicated and engaged viewers.
You got to go find them.
You do not know. Yeah.
100%. You got to go find them. You got to put yourself out there. And, talk about getting the guest to open up. You've got to be willing to fucking do that too.
Yep.
Right. Pardon my French, but you've got to be willing.
Sorry, you're allowed to swear on this, right? I've sworn.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. But, every time I try to convince my mother to watch my show, she's 87. She goes, "Oh, Matthew, I watched it till one time. You said you were that F word. I don't know where you fucking learned it, Jesus." And I learned it from her. My father's from Minnesota, and never heard a curse word till he joined the Navy. So
I understand he learned the F word from your mother.
I'm pretty sure either my mother or his deceased wife. I didn't want to make it seem like he's a philanderer. He was married till the end and then remarried. Yeah. My mother, on the other hand, the whole 3 different husbands. But anyway, and because I know they won't watch the show, and I've laid the fuck mine, so I know if she was watching this, she turned it off.
Yeah, there you go.
Got nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
But what was I talking about before the cursing thing?
Having to audience,
finding your audience, and in order to do that, they've got to get to know you.
Yeah,
they've got to get to trust you, and sometimes agree with you, sometimes disagree with you.
Right.
I hope by this time that people that listen to my show know that I make jokes. That's all they are. Sometimes they don't land. Sometimes they're not funny. Yeah. It was meant to be funny. It wasn't meant to hurt anyone's feelings. It wasn't meant to, anything like that. So, and Mike and Pete are literally this, kind of the same way. We just kind of like pick on each other and pick on the world around us. Like that's the whole the motto of the podcast: point and laugh at the world burning around us. Yeah. And it's almost cathartic. It's almost, having to do it every week, it makes you focus on your opinions and analyze them. Like, do they all
want to share with the world?
Yeah. Do all your opinions coincide with each other? Are they all relative? You know what I mean? And why is your opinion that way? And okay, well, and maybe I've been told I have a lot of bad opinions. Like why, so like why is that? Why? And
bad upbringing.
There's a lot of the point that I'm trying to make is there's a lot of growth in doing a podcast.
Yeah. And look, even if people don't agree with your opinion or your points of views on things, it doesn't matter. People will still tune in because they're interested in hearing it. Oftentimes you're more interested in hearing someone's differing opinion. I get a lot of heat online on Instagram and stuff like that when I'll post my opinions on different things in the fight world. And obviously because my name on Instagram is Fight Insight Podcast, they know I'm a podcast right away. And so they'll be like, "You're stupid podcast. No wonder I've never heard of it, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, oh, if you only want a podcast that like shares your exact same opinion,
there's one out there.
Why would you be listening to the podcast just to hear yourself talk, right? Like there's no point in that. So yeah, you want to be able to give out different opinions, and I agree with you. Like, you want people to get to know you, but you don't have to always agree with me or love what I'm saying or have the same point of view. And if you do, I don't even understand why you'd want to watch.
And I when I find myself talking to somebody about our show, and I actually do it fairly often because I drive for Uber on the weekends, and if I come across a rider that seems like they're
Cool enough.
well, are listening,
Demographic.
yeah, that fits our demographic, or at least somebody that I think
18-year-old girls. That's our demographic. They love us.
I share the show, and I tell them, it's three old white guys trying to understand the world as it is today, and I think that's a lot of what we do. We talk about what's going on. We have people on and have these conversations, and it's really us trying to understand the world, and
Yep.
we're fun to watch while we do it. We tend to flap around and make all kinds of noise while we do it.
Yeah. So let me ask you this question. Do you listen to your own podcast?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Good.
I mean, yeah, I feel you have to, because you want to find out where you're making mistakes and where things hit and where things are good, because you want to replicate that later, right? You're trying to find you're trying to find the good things and then try to replicate it later. And also, I feel like a lot of times I'll be interviewing a guest and I'll have like a brain fart. I'll pause on someone's name or something, and I'm like, blah, 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 in my head. And then it finally comes out. But then, and I think, like, as it's happening, I'm like, holy shit, how bad is this going to sound? And then I listen to it back, and it's not. It's like more like a brief second. I'm like, holy cow, my brain really made it seem like that was long. Sometimes that's a godsend. Like, it makes you feel a little bit better about yourself after when you listen to it.
It'd be nice to have short ones, wouldn't it be, Mike? I've paused for literally minutes, just like,
oh, nice.
And I'm like, fuck. That's all that's going through my head.
No, but it might not be as bad as you think. That's all.
Oh, no,
saying.
it is. It is.
No,
because
I was trying to help this dude out, Mike.
We're
what's wrong with you?
We're 128 weeks into this, and if I had been if I saved all the silence that I've cut out,
yeah, you'd have another episode.
I'd have a whole new hard drive.
Oh, okay. No, I do. It's funny though, because I do tell. So I have a new, I had been rotating co-hosts after my other co-host left. Now I've got a new permanent co-host, and I've been telling them, Brady Bunch, shout out to Brady Bunch. I've been telling Brady Bunch to listen back to it, and I do ask. I'm like, hey, did you listen back to the podcast? It's good for you to learn and grow from yourself, right? So yeah, you have to. I wouldn't even. It's also, isn't it a little bit of vanity? Like, you want to hear how it goes. And
I when I listen back, I usually don't listen back until I'm a couple of days removed from it. So tonight we'll tape. Tomorrow I'll edit and upload. I won't listen until Saturday, and Saturday I'll start to listen, because then I'm a couple of days removed and I can listen to it
objectively.
Well, yeah, I can listen as a listener.
Yeah.
I still know when things are coming, but I can listen as a listener and kind of experience the podcast, and I
enjoy it, right?
Yeah, and it's really for me it's about quality control, because I don't know how it lands unless I let it land on me.
Yeah, it's and it's also, while you're doing it. I mean, you guys seem very professional, so I'm sure you get this, but while you're doing it, sometimes my brain's just thinking of a million things. Like right now, I feel very relaxed because I'm not in control of anything. Right, I'm just a guest now.
There's no pressure on you whatsoever.
But when I'm running in it, I'm fiddling with the logos and the stuff that's happening on the screen, and then I'm reviewing my notes and I'm checking for things, right? Or if I have to pull something up,
Yeah, absolutely.
So sometimes as it's going, I'm not even enjoying it to the fullest. When I listen to it back, especially with a guest or someone like Bobby Green, that is been my idol, man, to listen to it back and then hear it and hear some of the things he says that maybe I didn't even catch during the podcast. It's nice. Yeah.
That is the highlight for me, is to catch those little things that someone said that nobody else heard at the time. It just when you say something that goes over the person's head, or you just missed it completely, but it's there. And it's extraordinarily funny. And, but I have mixed feelings about it. Because yes, I want to see how the show sounds. I want to see how the show flows. But then there's having to listen to me. You know what I mean? It's kind of hearing my own voice. Yeah. Do you get that? Like where hearing your own voice is kind of like makes you cringe a little bit.
So our podcast is generally about 1 hour in length. And normally the first half hour is the guest. Right. Unless the guest wants to stay the whole thing, in which case we're happy. But normally the guest will commit to like 20 to 30 minutes. Right.
Yeah.
Admittedly, yeah, I normally will at least listen to the guest segment, but I don't always listen to the rest of it, which is where it's just normally myself and my co-host going through topics and things like that, like random shoot the shit stuff. Right.
Yeah.
So I'll normally for sure listen to the guest, but I won't always listen to that second part. And maybe it's because like what you're saying, because I'm like, well, I'm just really listening just to myself talk, or it's a lot about me just philosophizing about whatever. Right.
Yeah. No,
yeah.
But I have this, and I always want to listen to it. This happens to you, but I always want to listen to it with my wife in the car because I want to get her opinion on what things are.
Yeah.
She's like, why do you want to listen to yourself? She's like, you went through it. Why do you want to hear it again? I'm like, I want to hear what it sounds like. You said something funny. I'm like, I fucking hope so. I mean, I hope something I said was fucking funny. I mean, I'm on for an hour and a half trying to be fucking a little bit entertaining. You know what I mean? Just to make I want to make people giggle or snicker more than anything else. Like that's because it's uncontrollable. Like that's what I'm looking for. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and when I said that your friends and family will not support you, no, that excludes my wife. My wife is very supportive of this whole thing. I can't believe she lets me do this. Right?
She's very supportive. Yeah.
But she likes to listen to it because she likes to get to know the guests as well. Because to her, she doesn't really love watching the fighting. I'll tell you that. She doesn't really care so much for the fighting, but to get to know the people, it does make her a little bit more interested. And then when they fight, she has some
skin in the game.
Yeah, because she knows, like, oh, shit, I love that girl, or I love that guy.
Yeah, right? I know that person because you had a conversation with them and fucking
that's right
for everybody. Thanks.
And she gets to know them, right? She gets to know a little about them, about their family or whatever. Just last month, we were in London, England for a trip, and we actually went to the BKFC event out there, which is bare knuckle fighting. And so I brought her there, and BKFC was nice enough to give us media passes, and we went out there and whatever. And she hates bare knuckle. The blood and the gore, like you just like big gashes, right? Yeah. So we get out there and we're ringside, like we're right next to the walkout where they walk out. And the whole trip leading up, she's like, look, when we get there, I don't know that I'm going to watch the whole thing. I might just go on Instagram and fuck around. And I'm like, yeah, of course, no problem. I was just happy that we could spend one of our days on vacation at a bare knuckle event. Mm-hmm. We get there. Because you're not watching on TV, you don't see it so up close. So you could see the blood, but it wasn't gory. And dang, my wife the whole time just recording, like, what the hell's going on? Like, it was so exciting. The energy of the crowd, like it was like you guys know the movie Snatch, right? It was exactly the movie Snatch, man. It was a whole bunch of like gypsies and like people throwing beer, and it was crazy. Just the energy. It was the greatest event I've ever gone to in my life. And just like fun stuff, man. It was really cool. And so and the reason why she really got to like it was because like I hadn't interviewed the main event guy. So and then he came out during the fights, and he saw us and he's like, hey Tim, and then he came over and then he hugged my wife like he saw her. So it was really cool, man. Like, just slowly getting, like, not slowly, but like kind of being on the periphery of that world. Right. It's like really cool. And so she enjoys it.
I mean, it's the same thing as like, if you're just watching two dudes beat the shit out of each other, you don't really have any context. It's just these two dudes beating the shit out of each other. Yeah, but if you've gotten to know, what's that?
I will never ever forget the first time that I saw a dude get knocked cold in person.
Was it a guy that was trying to steal the legs off your sign?
No, we were. It was. I think I was probably about 14 or 15. I was spending the night with a buddy. His parents had taken us out to eat. We're going back to their place, and at the entrance to their subdivision, there was a bar, and two guys had come out, and as we're rolling past, becomes clear that they're arguing, they might fight. So we slowed down. The one dude just finally got tired of listening to the other guy. He just cocked back and plowed him right in the face, and the dude just, and it was like, wow, that's that fight you always hear about, you never see. The guy just, I'm tired of listening to you, and knocks him right in the eye, and down the dude went.
Did his eye split open?
He didn't get he just, the guy caught him just right, and he went cold. I think the back of his head split open. Probably worse than the front, because he went right down on his back like a board.
That's usually the blow that kills you. It's not the punch. It's your head hitting the fucking concrete.
Yeah.
When
was it Maddie's grandfather?
It could have been.
I don't think so. It
could have been. He was a violent man, apparently.
And it was not the 1930s.
But I mean, it just goes to show, like, nothing. We've gotten a lot better, but nothing's really changed. You know what I mean? Dudes that want to beat the shit out of each other are going to go beat the shit out of each other.
Yes.
And it's like a desire, you just got to take yourself. If you don't want to get the shit beat out of you, you've got to not want to beat the shit out of people. Right. And I've learned that I can't beat the shit. Like, my shoulders and my lower back don't really, work. So I'm not going to win a fight. So I'm not going to like threaten anybody. I'm not going to walk into a bar and, say, who's the toughest? But before UFC, that's what people did.
I've always found it out.
I wonder if Thomas Eustace would have, dominated the UFC circuit. You know what I mean?
There you go.
If you bring him, you bring just him, just this Irish bootlegging farmer, right? And because the story was that Raymond Sanizak, person that was married to my grandmother, Raymond Sanizak would purchase whiskey from Thomas Eustace. This was during Prohibition. So apparently Raymond owed Thomas a significant amount of money. And back then, men were pigs. You know what I mean? Type of thing. So that's just this dude. Take him and like eating eggs and milk and eat, like the stories of what I've heard him eat. Like he's just a farmer, and he just, I wonder how he would do, or if he would just get the shit knocked out of him. Because there's a type of person. Like you got to have that mentality that I'm gonna get punched in the head a couple times.
Yeah. I don't know how the Irish are at jiu-jitsu back then, but that might be important.
No, it's just
I learned that.
It's this. Like this is what we can do. That's pretty much it.
Hard and strong.
Old school.
Yeah.
Fisticuffs.
That's right. Fisticuffs.
Yeah.
Right. But so you got anything you want to talk about, man? You got anything on your mind?
What do you want to know? I mean, what's I guess you asked me about a cool guest, and I said my favorite guest was Bobby Green.
Right.
I'll throw out another cool guest that I've had, which I'm hoping you guys have seen or heard. Have you ever seen on Instagram? He's like viral sensation is Commander Dale Brown from Dust, Detroit Urban Survival Tactics. He's the guy that does all those weird self-defense videos. And
I'm not familiar, but I will check it out.
I've at least heard of it. Dust rings a bell. I've at least
Dust.
Yeah,
and Commander Dale. Anyways, we've had him on the show twice, and I'll just, if you want, I'll just do a short little story about this dude.
Oh, please, yeah, absolutely.
If you watch him online, the whole big thing there is that it's like a joke. People think all his tactics are bull. That it's all a facade. That he's like almost like a comedian. And so he's going viral all over the internet. I'm sure your listeners know who I'm talking about. Okay, but are you going to put a photo up of him there, Mike?
Yeah, I'm looking for.
Just look Commander Dale, and
Commander Dale Brown.
Yeah, there you go. And so I get in touch with
I spent 15 years of my career.
Detroit Urban Survival Tactics, and I get in touch with them, and I'm like, hey, would you by chance want to come on this podcast? And at the time I'm thinking like, hey, if this is a joke, I'll play along. Like I'll do whatever it is that you want, you know? Yeah, this is the dude here. And he'll do like gun disarms and whatever. But I thought, hey, I'll play along, you know? And I speak to someone at his organization. They're like, this shit is serious. We've been protecting the people of Detroit for years. This is a serious thing and whatever. And it is crazy, man. And so I've got to know his story. He's come on the podcast twice. Every time I have him on, I get flooded with hate mail because they think this guy's a joke and that it's BS, you know? But he's a really good dude, man. And he's real. I mean, come at me. If you
he's not a cop.
He's not. So this uniform is like, he's just created this for his protection, like a defense. Like he patrols condominiums and apartment buildings in Detroit. Like that's where he got his start. But now he's
like private security, huh?
Yeah, like private security. And somehow he's now leveraged himself into this like internet sensation. Of course, it hasn't hit you guys, but that's fine. It's coming. But yeah, he's leveraged himself. But if you can, put up one of his videos like where he's doing the tactics, which do get a little bit crazy. But anyways, I had the chance to meet this dude, and that's kind of crazy because he's not a fighter per se, but he's walked a few UFC fighters to the cage because they've liked him and whatever, and they've gotten to know him. But he was a really cool dude, man, and it's real. As far as I can tell, I'm actually reading his book now. He has a book out that talks about his life growing up on the streets and stuff. And it was interesting. I couldn't believe that I got to meet him, and I couldn't believe that it was real.
Have you ever interviewed Master Ken from
McDojo, right?
Ameridote is what I don't remember what the dojo is called, but he does these self-defense and
Master Ken
restomp the groin.
Yeah, and he's got the porn stash, right?
Yeah.
So they've done stuff together, him and Commander Dale.
Okay.
But that guy, he's fake for sure, right? Like that guy. He's not even pretending that he's anything. He's doing it on purpose to be fake. Yeah.
Right. He's doing it to be funny, and that's his friend, the guy that takes all the punishment, is actually owns that dojo. And they train, and they're friends, and he does martial arts, but they do this gag. And two of my favorite ones were they did one where it was a high speed 100 groin shots, and it was that guy just took 100 poundings to there's different ways to kick him in it, to kick him, punch him, he was fantastic. But this guy that we're looking at right now, he is this guy patrols. He's got his little bag. He got a Jeep with the fucking logo on it.
Dude, I'm reading his book right now.
How does he fund this?
So as I'm reading the book and as I got to know him and whatever, he started out just as a guy who was like going to apartment buildings and saying, hey, I'll protect your apartment building for X dollars, or if you give me my free rent for my home and stuff like that. And he's just leveraged this into a business. And if you believe the story, and I have no reason to not, then he would be doing security at clubs or security in other areas or whatever. And now he's leveraged. He runs a self-defense training place in Detroit that you can go to and try it out and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so he does all these self-disarm videos and stuff. And it's funny because there's this UFC fighter named Sean Strickland, who's like an animal. So talking about your grandfather, he's your grandfather reincarnated. Like he's just a man's man, crazy fighter dude. And he gets into public issues with this guy, with Commander Dale, and has challenged him to $100,000 fight. And other fighters will say that too. They'll go, oh, this guy's BS. That's his daughter there in the video. And they'll say, everything he does is BS and whatever, and it doesn't work. And then when we had Commander Dale on our podcast, I said, what do you say to those people? And he goes, I'm protecting people to save their lives in the event that you're going to die anyways. I'm trying to teach you some things to possibly increase your chances of survivability. And he goes, if you want me to fight a UFC fighter, he goes, you understand I'm going to like kick them in the groin and like kick their kneecap out and gouge their eyes. Like, I don't do this for sport. And when he says that, you're like, well, yeah, that makes sense, right? He's teaching people how to stay alive in a sense that you are at gunpoint and someone's going to kill you. He's teaching you the thing. Yeah, right. He's teaching you the thing to do, which is very interesting. And so there's this one UFC fighter, Sean Strickland, that keeps challenging him to fight. And then Dale's like, well, let's go to the middle of the desert where there's no one around and sign a thing because one of us isn't coming back. Like, I'm not doing this for point fighting.
Right.
Which is cool as shit because you're like, I get it. But, and the thing is like, do you think every self-defense instructor is indestructible? Like, obviously anybody can die, anybody can catch a punch, anybody can whatever, right? But hey man, it makes for good drama online. It's made for some good podcasts with me, and the guy's a cool dude. So yeah,
he's definitely, I'm fascinated by this.
Yeah, and I'm reading his book, and his book is crazy. It's written like it's like journal entries, like through his life.
Oh, okay.
And at the end, it's crazy because it just keeps detailing like little interactions he has with like criminals and whatever. And again, I'm assuming this is real, man. I've got no reason to believe it's not. Any book, any autobiography might be exaggerated a bit, so sure, maybe. But what I like is that the chapters are short, and at the end of each one, he goes learnings, and then he'll do little learnings, like he'll be like, guns scare even the strongest of criminals. Not all criminals look like criminals. Like, he'll do little learnings that he's learned as he's growing as a security officer, and he's interacting with these criminals and thieves and whatever, and he's teaching you along. It's pretty cool, man. It's a good read.
That sounds like it. Sounds like he's a good dude.
He really is, man.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's he was, like I said, he walked out a UFC fighter to one cage, and when he was at the event, he texted me with a photo of him at the thing. Like, and this is what I'm saying. Cool. Like, you get to meet some people and become actual friends with them. So yeah, I am happy to say that Commander Dale is actually a friend of mine. So it's pretty cool, man.
Yeah,
that is very, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We are going to take another break. We're going to go into the C block. We'll remind everybody that you can give us a call at 646-VIRUS-01, 646-VIRUS-01. You can see everything Media Virus at themediavirus.com. You can shoot me an email, Maddie, mediavirus.com. And there's also PML, Media, and, Pete, and JTT, Just the Tips, which will, I guess, are we going into when we come back from break?
Yes, we're going to do Just the Tips as we come back, and then I think we've got some reels that we can kick around and talk about.
And Timmy, a lot like your show, if you don't want to stick around and hang out anymore, you don't have to, but we'd love to have you kind of hang out, and we're just going to make fun of shit and listen to what our friend Stanley has to say. So it's really up to you. But did I miss anything? Oh, well, check out the Fight and Sight podcast.
On YouTube
and Spotify. That's look, he's got fucking shirts. Can you buy those shirts?
Yeah, man. You want a shirt? Hit us up, and we will.
Yeah, go fucking buy a shirt.
Shirts, man.
Fight and Sight podcast.
Cool. Yeah,
it's a fucking cool shirt.
Thanks, buddy.
That really is. You got a cool logo.
Thanks, man.
Very cool. That is a very cool.
It took me forever to make this logo and to yell at the designers to make this shit.
That's very cool.
There you go, man. Yeah, thanks, buddy.
It's got like the light bulb, and this the fight light.
Yeah. See, look at that. You're a smart dude, man.
Yeah, dude.
It's a light bulb, but a fist, and it's kind of mimicking the Apple podcast logo as well.
Yeah,
with the thing.
A little bit. I picked it all kind of up. It's very, very cool, and you can fucking have that shit on a T-shirt, walk around with it, and look awesome. You know what I mean?
Thanks, brother.
Yeah, man. But did I miss anything else, Mike?
I just want to remind everybody that our good friend is running the 100 Hottest Women, and you can check that out on Facebook and Instagram. And that we're coming back with Just the Tips in this top of the C block on this 128th episode of the Media Virus Podcast. We'll be back right after this. Ladies and gentlemen, Raspberry Tea Bag! Raspberry Tea Bag.
We clear?
Yes. Sorry.
Timmy, you've been very generous with your time, man. I really,
Hey,
we
no
really
problem, brother.
appreciate it. You hanging out?
Yeah, man.
Want to hang out? Cool.
I don't. If you want me to stay, I'll stay. Yeah, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. We're just.
All
I mean,
right, cool, man.
you know, you might find it kind of boring. You know,
No, it's
videos
good,
that
man.
we're just
I
gonna
love,
watch
dude.
and-
I do love what you guys do, man. Shit, it is very professional. I love it. It's
Well, thank
very
you
cool,
very much.
man. Yeah,
Thank you.
very, very cool.
We're gonna have to really dig into what we can accomplish with that Spotify video, because I don't watch a lot of it. To me, Spotify is podcasts while I'm driving. YouTube is videos while I'm sitting around, and it's because I'm stuck in my place. So
I
I've
mean,
got
I don't know about you guys, but like in Toronto or Canada or whatever, we're still like a lot of people are still working from home. Like people have not transitioned back to work. So where I feel like that probably hurts my audio listeners because people aren't commuting.
Yeah.
I feel like then people like, I mean, same as me, like during my workday, I pretty much have YouTube up all day watching random shit, right? So I don't know. I mean, look, if someone's going to find you on Spotify, they're going to find you on YouTube anyways, right? So
I think, yeah. I mean, that's the way because I mean, honestly, this video to, the video aspect in broadcasting it is like, to me, was secondary.
Yes.
The first order of business is recording a good podcast with good audio and, sound professional. Like, we literally like chalked the first 100 episodes up to practice.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? This is it's all practice. And we've really, I think you're our 8th guest, to come on the show and sit with us that we booked through like Podmatch that we didn't have a connection to.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah.
Right. That you're the, the 8th completely unknown person that we've just invited to come on and talk to us.
Yeah. Cool. Man.
And, and
eight is a lucky number in Chinese culture, just so you know. So boom.
That is very cool. We did, oh shit, we had that video. Was it last week or the week before? Of that lady teaching us how to say "fuck you" in Chinese. So
nice.
We should have.
But yeah, can I ask one question?
Okay.
How do you find you are most successful in promoting? Like, what are you doing to promote that you feel is actually getting bang for your buck? Are you paying for advertisements? Like, how are you getting your name out there?
It's a lot of sharing. It's a lot of it's mainly Facebook. It's our TikTok's kind of lackluster.
I don't keep up with that very well. I should turn that
over. But it's traction is still what we're looking for. You know what I mean?
But when you say sharing, what I don't understand. What do you mean sharing? Sharing
to different groups on Facebook. Yeah. See, that's the.
I don't even have my Facebook password because the other guy had it. So I've never gone on it once. But every time I share stories on Instagram, if I delete it, it goes, "Do you also want us to delete it off your Facebook?" I'm like, "Fuck, I guess." Well, I don't know. Like,
might as well.
So I'm zero active on there. But you find that that's a good place for audience? Like you're getting stuff off Facebook?
No.
Not the way I'd like to.
No, we're not doing a good job. And
it's hard, man. It's hard to find a goddamn audience.
And here's the thing: I like to use. It is hard to find. It's hard to find your audience. It's hard to get yourself out there. Like you're just trying to like spitball it out there and hope people, people share it up. You want to hope that folks like kind of stumble, but that's not really the way things happen. I did. I spent $5 on a Facebook promotion last week, and I think it got 279 views. So not very.
279 views of your podcast?
Of the link that I shared.
That's a lot, dude, for $5. That's very good.
Yeah, I guess.
I think I spend $5 a month on Google Ads because I set it up so long ago and I forgot how to turn it off. Mm-hmm. But it will do my commercial for $5 worth every month. And it works on some weird way. Like I'm sure you guys know, but it will show the commercial and it will only charge you if someone clicks it or watches it to completion. or watches it to whatever amount of time.
Mhm.
But if someone sees it and then just skips it, you don't even get charged. And I just pay them $5 a month. But I guarantee you, I get nothing out of that. I'm just throwing $5 away.
Just pissing away $5. Yeah.
But
We gotta
just so that I
figure
can
out-
say I'm fucking serious about this shit and I'm investing money. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like if anyone
You know,
asks.
honestly, in all honesty, we kind of took on, like when we signed up for Podmatch, we kind of took on Podmatch as like, all right, well, we're going to introduce our podcast to one person at a time. This is how we're growing the show. We're going to meet you, say hello. I know it's a piss poor way of.
No. But what you're no. But what you're hoping is that I
Cross-promotion.
will say, hey, I was a guest on the Media Virus podcast, and that some of my viewers or fans or listeners will click over and then become yours, right? Like that's
Well, to me,
my whole business
that's-
model is that.
Yeah.
Right. To me, that's a secondary. What's that?
At the very least, we hope they come and watch your episode.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's my whole
Maybe
whole
come
business
back
model.
for the next one.
Right.
Or
Exactly.
check
Yeah.
the back catalog.
Yeah. My whole business model is just that my guest will bring in a fresh set of audience every week, and maybe one person will watch one more or two more. I'll always try to name drop during the podcast and go like, oh yeah, remember when we had,
Oh yeah,
Helen Peralta as a guest? And then I'm hoping someone goes, oh fuck, I like Helen Peralta, and then they'll go watch it. But yeah, dude, this is my whole thing. It's probably a terrible idea, but that's all I got.
It's honestly the grassroots way that podcasting started. Everybody was listening to everybody else, and you hear about them, you listen to them. You go listen to your buddy on the other one, and like I said, I drive for Uber on the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a sheet that has, I think, a dozen QR codes on it for different things that I do or am involved with or friends are doing. Just like, I'll hear somebody talking about something and say, oh, yeah, there's a sheet back there with some codes on it. If you find the one for this, you scan it and it'll take you to that. And it, at first, people are a little put off by, really? You've got all this going on? And then, like, they look at the sheet, like, I've got our show here. I've got my voice reel. Then I've got a couple of goofy things on there, like a picture of my dog and.
you got a program that makes QR codes, so you just want to shit with it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I also understand that some people aren't going to be interested in any of that shit. But what always sucks is, there's your dog's picture, and they look at that, and then they go down the line and start banging off all the other codes because why not?
Yeah.
So do you say, hey, you want to see pictures of my little Dickie?
No, I don't. I should.
Because he got that dog.
It actually does say it, but I think it does say there's a picture of my little Dickie dog.
he got that dog around the same time we started the podcast, and I swear to Christ, he named the dog Dickie just for the show.
Nice. It's dedication, man. 30% increase. 30% increase to Mike.
Like, yeah, you get 30% more too, Mike.
Actually, the truth of the matter is, Dickie named himself. He's the only dog I've ever had that named himself. We picked him up from the pound, and we were driving home, and I decided I wanted to give him just a man's name. I like naming dogs with people names. It's a very Caucasian thing to do. And we're driving home. My wife and I are kicking names around. And when I said, well, what do you think about Dick or Dickie? He popped his head into the front of the car. He's like, I like that one. He kind of named himself. Like, he answered to it with, and they were calling him Wrangler at the pound. And like, you could tell he's like, I don't know who that is, but they always feed me when they say it. But when I said Dickie, like, he was like, yeah, that's me. And within 2 hours,
holy shit, how'd you guess?
Yeah, exactly. Basically, because like within 2 hours of bringing him home, my wife says, hey, where's Dickie? And you hear the collar jingle, and here he comes. Like,
that's awesome.
There he is. He heard you. So he named himself.
That's so funny.
I guess we did a soft opening.
Yes, part of that conversation opens up the C block, and that's where we are on the Media Virus podcast, right in the C block. And you know that the C block always means that we get to hear more from our BBC correspondent, Stanley McFadden, who brings us all of our love and sex advice with just the tips. Just the Tips with Stanley McFadden.
Shit still boggles my mind. If a girl wants a guy who's older, it's a preference. If a guy wants a girl who's younger, it's creepy and immature. If a girl doesn't want to date a short guy, it's a preference. If a guy doesn't want to date a girl that's overweight, he's an asshole who's not focused on the things that matter. If a girl wants a guy who can take charge, it's a preference. If a guy wants a girl who will submit to his lead, he's, you guessed it, misogynistic. If a girl sets a boundary, it's empowering. If a guy sets a boundary, it's controlling. Women have preferences, men have something wrong with them. This isn't a double standard, it's just illogical. So why does anyone accept this?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Media Virus Podcast. It is I, the one and only Dr. Dre, Professor Big Ecology from the U of V, bringing at you another episode of Just the Tips. Tonight's episode number 36, the double standard. See, most of you ladies are lying-ass hypocrites. Most of y'all are fake as fuck. Everything about you is fake. You got fake hair, wigs, weaves, extensions, ponytails, braided in. It's fake. You got fake eyelashes. You got fake lips. Your lips don't look ruby red. Your lips is dry and chapped like a motherfucker because you don't drink no water. You got fake teeth. You got fake titties. How many of y'all wearing a corset right now? How many of y'all got on a Victoria's Secret push-up bra pushing and mashing them titties together? Your titties ain't look like that in 20 fucking years. How many of y'all got some sort of shapewear girdle on to hide your stomach that you ain't been keeping right? Now, I like me a little pouch, but some of y'all been taking some liberties with that. Be proud of it. Don't lie to me. Don't put on all that Spanx and Kim K tucking and shit. Be proud of your roles. Work on them, but be proud of them. Stop lying to me. Stop being a fake ass hypocrite. You got fake booty implants, BBLs. You got fake legs. Your legs ain't that color. You got on pantyhose. You know it. Stop lying to us. You got heels on. You ain't that tall. Got fake nails. Those ain't your real nails. They gel, they acrylic, they press on, they whatever. Thing is, you ladies are lying ass hypocrites. And you want us to be real with you. Here's the thing. In any given room, we the realest motherfuckers in that room. As a matter of fact, we the only real motherfuckers in that room. Until y'all stop this double standard of lying and not being who you are. All this double standard hypocrisy bullshit needs to stop. If you want to be treated like a queen, I'm a queen, I'm a princess, then treat that man like a king. That's how it works. You fill his cup, he fills yours. If he's constantly filling your cup and you're not filling his, he's always on an empty, and your cup is always overflowing because of that good man that's supporting you in every way he knows possible, you're destroying that man, and he deserves better. Stop being fucking liars. Stop being hypocrites. Be real with yourself. When you find out who you are, be who you are. And quit all this double standard bullshit. If you want a fat dude, then want a fat dude. If you want a skinny dude, then want a skinny dude. That's fine. I got no problem with that. I do have a problem with y'all putting labels on our preferences while you get praised for yours. That shit ain't real. Be real. If you want to be treated like a real person, then treat us like real people too. If you want to be treated like a queen, you got to treat him like a king. That's how it works. If I am a king of a kingdom, and I am the king of all that I see, the only one that can sit by my side is someone that is worthy to be a queen. You can't have a queen without a king, but you can have a king without a queen. But y'all don't think about that, do you? Be real with yourself so we can be real with you. Till next time, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Dre, Media Virus Podcast. Happy fucking.
You know, I've noticed that most of Stanley's advice is for women. And the chances of a woman watching this show
internal closing.
They're pretty low. I mean, I think that's why we pack them way in the C block.
But we hope that you, if you're our listener, that you would take these bits and at least share these bits with. And
you can share our older episodes of Just the Tips. We have its own podcast on Spotify. That is a video podcast. We actually take that video and make it a video podcast on Spotify, like you were talking about, because he just does that on his phone and sends it over, you know. But you can share out those Just the Tips. I wouldn't. If you want to maintain relationships with, you know, your wife. Oh, I just saw. Looks like he's popping in. Looks like Stanley McFadden's going to be joining us here.
Hopefully he'll be real.
Something tells me he's going to be real. You know what I mean? The realness is afoot. You hear us, dude, yet? Or what? He's got his light and everything. No, he wasn't connected to audio. We wasted all that. Now he's muted. There we go. How you doing, Big Daddy?
What's up, motherfuckers?
How you? So we're hoping that you're going to be real right now, you know, because you were very adamant about women being real on the, you know, on the Just the Tips that we are
the realest. We are the realest motherfuckers in the room.
It's true. It's absolutely true. Let me introduce you, Big Daddy, to Timmy. Timmy B. He is the host or co-host of the Fight Insight podcast.
What's going on, Timmy B?
And how's it going, buddy? Good to meet you.
Likewise.
And you know, one of the tags here in Tim's Podmatch profile was comic book. And I was kind of holding on to that because I knew you'd be showing up. So, you know, I don't know what
two things that I enjoy is fighting and comic books.
There you go, man. Here, hold on. Let me put my screen. There you go. There's some comics at the background there.
No, is that a Daredevil on the right? G.I. Joe?
No, that's the original G.I. Joe #1. That's just some random Batman Beyond one. Then I've got the Infinity Gauntlet #1 and Batman and the Outsiders.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can you give me close up on that G.I. Joe?
G.I. Joe, yeah.
Can you give me your address and
yeah, hold on.
Anyway, where you're
his fucking hair is awesome. Dude. Yo, Stanley.
Ooh,
do you see that?
Wow.
You remember that one?
Yes.
I think I actually had that one.
Yeah, it was such a weird if you remember inside, it was such a weird page. Like it was super dark. Like the ink was like really, really dark. But yeah, that's an oldie, man.
That is
awesome.
And I have to call someone to rehang that.
Hey, Stanley, do you want to get really pissed off?
Yes.
You want to play Guess How Old Timmy Is?
Well, I would say based off of both comic books and
fuck, I should have played this game when I first
boom
and a fight IQ. Timmy has to be within our age.
Fuck.
What a intelligent dude.
I'm gonna put him at. I'm 43. I'll put you at 45.
You're just a couple months off, my friend. 46 in February.
Wow.
Damn,
I'm sitting here
going, get this guy in a game show.
You know what? I didn't.
The smartest guy in the room.
Really is. We used to play a game show called I Wish I Didn't Know That, which was it was just a board game I found, which is a bunch of random questions. And Stanley would usually Stanley or Professor Mike Latoris would usually dominate whatever we played that.
I will say though, you do look young as hell. Like your face is young. You have a very young face.
Yeah,
but there's no way you could be that young and know anything real about fights or fighting or anything about all that shit in the background. Like you can't be 26 and have that kind of knowledge.
No.
And your fade game's on point, by the way. Is that
his hair is tight as shit, dude.
No, it's really bad if you see it in real life. I get this
Even
done for
got
$12.
Even got that old school part right up there.
The line, yeah. I get my Japanese lady to shave a line there.
That's the way to do it.
I like.
He's a sharp guy. I've been falling all over him the whole night. But you go back and listen to that.
We're gonna be dating by the end of this. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Both married men. I'm just falling. I don't know if you like the Santa Claus type or not, but all right. So do you have any other tips for us there, Stanley, or do you want to add anything to that 5-minute video?
I will add just this. It is important that we be as real to women as we want them to be with us. That means that knowing that what you say is what you mean and what you mean is what you say. I think a lot of times we have difficulty in making sure that our message is being conveyed clearly. Like, so for example, if you want her to suck your dick, you got to say, listen, woman. And she may not understand some of that, but you got to make a clear message that this is what you want and what you expect out of a relationship. Whether or not she decides that she wants to be real with you, we should still be real with them.
That's that almost sounded kind of rapey there. Just a little bit.
It's in the lines of clear communication. Clearly communicating the things.
It's funny how the clear communication and sexual assault become like very. It's like a line, between those two that I think that you're getting kind of close to be honest with you.
Listen, it's not rapey if I make a statement. If I say, listen, I want you to be a dirty ice cream server. That's a clear statement of what I want. Now, if I do it while holding a gun, now that gets kind of different.
I guess, yeah, with the object in your other hand is. But
yeah.
I mean, there's
a difference between a request and a demand.
Yes.
Okay. All right. It sounded, just a little forward.
You can put bass in your voice. Put bass in your voice and make sure your hands are empty.
What are we talking about?
Well, I thought maybe we'd talk about something real. I've got some reels that we've been kicking around that I've saved.
Oh, good.
Do a little real talk with the boys.
All right. So these are just Facebook or Instagram reels that have been sent to the link list that somebody found and thought was funny.
Yeah. So I found this one the other day. I really liked it. I don't speak German, but what's going on here is they're saying
Wir machen einfach 75 Minuten heavy metal für Kinder.
We're going to perform 75 minutes of heavy metal for children.
Fuck yes!
And they're in dinosaur costumes. Happy dinosaur costumes.
Heavy Saurus. I'm in. I'm all the way in.
Yeah.
I'm just watching this again.
That sounded vaguely Metallica-ish.
That sounded exactly Metallica-ish.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. It's just hearing the German.
Yeah.
Reminds me of. I used to do a radio show called the Indie Punk Garage, or internet radio show, the Indie Punk Garage, and it was international Mondays. I would go looking for other bands, and there was a band from Germany that I found and I was listening to, and I played a couple times, and then I was starting to wonder if I had maybe found like a propaganda band or something like that. Like, what the fuck am I listening to? I don't speak German, but this is really cool. But I don't speak German, so I don't know what's like. What if I passed a German person and offended the shit out of him as I was listening? I can't remember the name of the band. I wish I could.
The interesting thing about German is there's a lot of it you can make out from contextual clues while you're looking at it, and things that we know of
German. You have to be introduced to
that translate into it, because a lot of American words have their etymology in German.
Wasn't Prodigy a German punk band?
Yes, I believe so.
Was Prodigy German? I know Rammstein was German.
I think Rammstein and Prodigy were the two German bands that I remember listening to at one point.
Dude,
but
at the job, the warehouse manager was playing Prodigy while he was counting, while he was doing receiving. And he was listening to this Firestarter and Smack My Bitch Up. And I walked out there. I'm like, Smack My Bitch Up. Smack. The shit you could get away with in the 90s. The jokes I could make in the fucking 90s.
Right?
Oh, when times were good.
Can I say there's a new Instagram account I've been following, and it's just Al Bundy moments.
Oh.
And it's just a page that just plays clip after clip after clip of Married with Children.
I think I'm just going to find it.
None of that is okay today. Not one bit of that show, man. It is awesome.
And it turns out he was the best father of all of them.
Yeah. Hold on, I'll tell you what the name of the account is for sure.
While you're looking that up, we're gonna run the next
at Al Bundy Clips.
At Al Bundy
Clips.
Yeah,
check
good
that out.
It's good shit, man.
What do we got here?
I'm gay. I am transgender.
I'm a slither little nigga.
I just use my name as my main pronoun.
What's your name?
Nick.
Nick.
Yeah, but my secondary pronoun, I just go by her. So just like you go by she, her, instead of she,
nice.
I go by Nick, basically. So I got this exercise that I do basically for us to get.
I know where this is going, and it's awesome.
So basically, I'll start with the exercise. So for you, I'd go your she, her, your she, her, your she, her. And for me, you can
so
go.
You're Nick. You're...
The picture, the video, the fucking camera. Genius.
That's awesome.
There's trolls are still out there.
Yep.
We're still alive and well and behaving poorly. It's a strip club?
Yeah, well, I'm going to roll that back because...
Is that the one where the stripper falls from like 20,000 feet?
Internal closing.
Yeah, like 25 feet. She falls good.
To answer that young lady's question, no, she is not okay. She fell 25 feet and then began twerking again. She should be able to use this on her resume of life. Looks like job. You're hired.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
That's a fall, right?
Yep. That's a full body.
Dude, is she twerking or trying to get up? For Christ's sake, she might be having a seizure.
I think she's convulsing.
Oh my god! Wow.
Yeah.
I need time to process that.
Yeah, she twerked her way up the pole 25 feet and then face down.
And
like even with
planted.
Yeah, even with implants, that's still got to whip your head forward.
So
she might not be able to make it to med school.
This guy was...
Blackface is wrong. Racist cannot do it. We agree? We agree. Okay, good. Blackface is wrong. Cannot do it. Blackface is wrong. Well, I have to ask the black faces. I can't ask the fucking rest of y'all. Blackface is wrong. It's racist. You cannot do it. Under no circumstances, cannot do it. Then you see them Navy SEALs commercials. You're like, all right, well, kind of. Sometimes you could do it. The whole Navy SEALs commercial is like, look how cool blackface is on a helicopter. Look how cool blackface is on a boat. Blackface in the water. They can swim. I don't know if they say that. I don't know if they say that. I might have added that part. I might have added that part. That's on me. I'm just saying, life or death situation to change the stakes. Let's say, for example, me and you, we're going on a mission to save America. The mission takes place at 1 a.m. That is an important piece of the information on the call sheet. You have your complexion. I have the complexion of an iPhone flashlight. If you don't give me blackface, we're fucking dead. I'm a disco ball in the desert. They're gonna see us from a mile away. It's headshots for the both of us. You wanna see her again? You gotta paint me the fuck up, bro. Full thing. You don't have to do the lips and the tap shoes. That's a little bit much. You gotta paint me up. You gotta paint me the fuck up. You're not gonna let me go on that mission with you without putting on blackface for your safety.
Dude, the eye contact.
You smile. There's certain things, guys.
The eye contact.
Yeah.
With one person is pure fucking genius.
Yes.
He goes finds everybody that he can do this with, and then just who can I jive with? Figures it out. That guy's a genius. What's his name?
Let's see, what was his name? Andrew Schultz.
Andrew Schultz. Okay.
You got to know your audience.
He's like a skinny Ralphie May.
Yeah.
You guys remember Ralphie May? Ralphie
May.
Which
Ralphie
is
May
current Ralphie May. Isn't he super skinny now?
He's dead.
No, he's dead.
Yeah, he's real skinny.
Yeah, he's real fucking.
Did he die?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, many years ago.
I love that dude on the last
No,
conversation.
it wasn't. It was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. It wasn't that long.
It was a while.
But he had lost a lot of weight, right?
He did for a while, but he was still a big dude even
okay.
after he lost the weight because he had that
all the skin, right?
Bell in the middle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's the bell because I was a big fat dude. I weighed almost 400 pounds, and I'm down to 220 now. But I was lucky enough to not have that bell in the middle. I just kind of
Wait, you're down to 220?
227, I think.
Am I the biggest fucker of the group now?
Yeah, now you are.
Damn.
So what are those heavy metal midgets, Mike? Is that what I?
Well, I've always got to throw something in to lighten the mood after I've done a couple of heavy things.
What the fuck? Dude, Gene Simmons is wearing 8-inch platform boots, and he's still not as tall as the singer. Well, he's got big platforms on him.
They're playing 3/4 size guitars.
Oh,
I
yeah?
hope that instead of calling them Kiss, they call them Peck.
I've heard of Mini Kiss, and I don't think this is them.
No, this is Danger Kiss Cover, I think.
Oh,
is the name on the account anyway.
They sold that stadium out.
Everyone likes a little danger.
Jeez. The shirt's killing, or the lack of a shirt was killing me.
Look, it is still on my bucket list to bang a midget chick.
We are looking for little people to have on the show.
I would love to have a thick little person that I can call my own, that I can.
You may not want to work on your phrasing.
Again, it came off just a little rapey. Just a little.
We don't advocate owning people on this show.
I just want to find a little person that I could just post up on my dick and twirl around.
That was much more politically correct.
Yeah, that's much better.
That was the better version.
Little person to post up on my dick. Yeah.
And twirl around like a spinning top. Like a revolving Christmas tree.
Oh my god. We have any more reels to
Yeah, there's a few. Let's actually, I think I have some Facebook reels as well. Let's hop over to those. I need to move that. So, well, I found this one earlier today. I was quite happy with this one.
that's me meditating.
What
You know
you're
what's
doing
funny?
now? Cool.
I was actually thinking
Explain
about
to me what you're doing now.
I was driving. My daily commute takes me through a small town in Delaware County. It's like kind of like an Anytown, USA, little shops and such, and there's pedestrians, and I was listening to because we're closer to midnight on the doomsday clock than we've ever been. I think we're 15 seconds to midnight.
90, but yeah.
I heard 15. That's why.
Yeah, I think I saw something that it was like 15.
Okay,
I heard
I didn't realize they moved
90.
it that far.
Yeah, no, I heard it was
90's like pretty long.
under a minute. So, I was listening to the Guar classic, "Bring Back the Bomb." I don't know if you've ever listened to it, but it is fucking fantastic. And it got me to thinking that, like, I always kind of like imagine the missile, you know what I mean, kind of streaking through the sky. I kind of almost see it in my mind's eye. I'm driving and I see it there, and what would you do if you heard the horn sound? What would you what's your immediate reaction? Like, would you try to run, hide? You know where to go? What the fuck would you do?
I would stay away from all those big guys that say, "I'd fuck anything that moved." I'd hold real still.
That's gonna be me. I'm looking for something to fuck.
I'm thinking I want to stand outside, of maybe my house or some kind of structure and just go like this.
Yeah, I want to watch it happen.
You know what I mean? I just want to, I want to face it and go like this. So with the off chance that the shadow of me is burned into something, of me giving everybody the finger. So archaeologists, or disaster techs can come in and afterwards and look and see me flipping them off.
I believe I've given my rapture, my rapture.
Yes.
I think my rapture.
Hold on.
Yes, I think we understand that no one is safe from your penis if the missile is coming. Whomever is next to you is what's
someone's getting it.
You've explained it many times. That's why we do a Zoom broadcast.
Someone's getting it.
Literally why we don't get together and do
That's why we don't get in the same room anymore.
If the world ends, we're all safe.
I'll leave. Listen, when I spent a week in the hospital wondering if I was going to, keep my toe, and I became determined, that I wanted to leave this world in one piece. I want to be complete. It's one of my only wishes in life is that I leave complete. And I'm diabetic and I'm not that smart. So I'm the chances of me losing a limb are pretty good, but I'm going to keep trying,
look, as long as you, the key is,
but my point is I'd like to keep what I'll call my anal hymen intact. You know what I mean? So far in my life, that's been an exit only. I'd prefer to keep it that way. So that's why we don't.
For living intact, or I'm down by a gallbladder and a foreskin.
I feel like well, all right, yeah. So I'm already out the foreskin, right? And speaking of the Adam Carolla show, the Adam Carolla was talking about remember those guys that used to try to stretch their foreskins, put weights and shit on what was left to try to get it to reform and shit. You never heard that? Anyway.
Or just stretching it out just to see how long they could get it. Like just the dicks, not necessarily the foreskin. But they would like tie their shit around a kettlebell and lift.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That doesn't
Don't do it close to the pool. You fall in, you're fucked. You know what I mean?
I mean, it only hurts for a little bit, and then it's fine.
You're telling me that you've done this?
It's that way you can do the helicopter thing.
So you couldn't do the helicopter thing before you tied kettlebells to your dick?
I mean, it helps.
Okay. So we learn something new every day.
So now you got to warn people when I turn left.
What's going on? Is this a rugby match? What's going on here?
I'm not sure where that came from. That wasn't where I thought.
Okay.
We did. Oh, I found another Bud Light reel since we were talking about Bud Light. Where'd the audio go?
Oh fuck! She looks like she's a lovely human being.
Hammered.
If you don't like it, go home then. So I'm just gonna tell him Bud Light. Bud Light.
What's Bud Light?
Bitch, you don't like it, go home then. So I'm just gonna tell him Bud.
I feel like she's had way more than that beer.
Oh,
She looks like she will go home with you for that case of Bud Light.
Yeah,
and I bet.
I mean,
bet she'd be a lot of fun.
It must have been free sample day at the liquor store she's in.
Not for nothing, but that shirt is the shirt that women buy when they no longer have the body to pull off the cutoff and
right.
Because she's wearing cutoffs and tank tops, and she wants to look cute, but she knows that she's got the gut and the gunt.
Crocheted lace interference, yes.
Yeah, so she's camouflaging.
But I bet she can still ride dick like a demon.
I would like for you to meet Phoenix.
Hi.
Hello, Phoenix.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm excited. My hands are very clammy.
Hey, same. We already have so much in common.
I'm sort of an awkward person, but I was like, oh, he seems real receptive to that. So that's
not a dude.
I'm a former nanny. I write poetry, and sometimes I make anal porn.
Whoa. What kind of a nanny? Sure, great. I
I'm
respect
very
that
nurturing.
I need some nurturing, so that sounds great. I would like for you to meet.
She's a nanny, a babysitter, or she's a teacher, a nanny, and sometimes does anal porn.
I do anal porn.
Yeah, what kind of nanny? That's genius.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get a better recovery from that.
No, but it seems like she was open to talk about it. I mean, it's
She has a very a strong jawline.
She did.
Mm-hmm.
Like she could take a punch, you know.
That's what let me tell you something. That's a feature you got to look for in every woman. That's what I used to say that's what I say to Matty Boy all the time. That was one of my favorite things to say. It's like, oh boy, you're just like your mother. Can't take a punch.
I don't remember what this one is.
Well, let's find out.
That's what we're gonna do.
The seafood chat. All right.
Wow.
Back up.
I use Victoria's Secret body spray and Dove deodorant every single day, so I don't know how I would smell like seafood chowder. Secondly, I don't know why you would post a video like that when you know I follow you. And I did block you, so I'm never going to have to see anything like that from you again. If you don't mind, please, letting your viewers and your commenters on your TikTok know that I don't smell like clam chowder, seafood chowder, whatever it is that you claim I smell like. I hate seafood. Why does it smell like the babysitter?
The seafood chat.
Why does this smell like the babysitter?
Wow.
We didn't hear that first part.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't tell her to say that, did he? That'd be a fucked up thing to prompt.
Yeah, but I mean, wow, yeah.
You got any kids, Timmy?
No.
You have to
recommend them. I recommend them. People say, listen.
I do not recommend them.
No, because people say, when I was 19 and having my first one, that I was way too young to have a kid. And I'm like, I disagree. I think because now I'm like, I'm in my 40s and I've got a 20-year-old person that I can call anytime I need my brakes changed.
Yeah,
I would rather keep either half of your shit.
I mean, you don't have to give your kid. Trust me, kids cost more than half your shit. I think we're out of.
Yeah, I think
we're out of reels now.
We're out of good ones.
Well, that's good.
We finished the internet.
We did. Anything worth looking at, we've gone through.
Wait till they refill it next week.
It is time for us to come to an end. I want to thank our guest Timmy and promote the Fight and Sight podcast on YouTube and Spotify. Go check that out. That's really cool. Give it a listen. You want to check out 100 Hottest Women? Check them out on Facebook and
on Instagram.
And you can still give us a call. Leave us a message. 646-VIRUS-01. That's 646-VIRUS-01. You call up, you leave a message, and if whatever you say, the dumb shit that comes out of your mouth is gonna go on the show. That's the way this all works. So please do that. You can shoot me an email. You can, if you want to get in contact with Stanley about Just the Tips, JTT@themediavirus.com. Shoot one to me, Maddie at themediavirus.com, PML at themediavirus.com, or Pete at themediavirus.com. Again, let me mention the Fight and Sight podcast, co-host Timmy. And what was your co-host? I'm sorry, I'm strong a fart. What's the co-host name?
My co-host is Brady Bunch.
Brady Bunch. So go check that out. That's really cool. Did I miss anything, Mike?
Well, I don't think you missed anything, but I would like to thank everybody for joining us here on this 128th episode of the Media Virus Podcast. As we end out the C block, I want to thank our guest, Timmy B, and on behalf of Timmy, Big Daddy, Pete, and our fearless leader, Matty Rockdeff, I'm Professor Mike Latoris, coming from to you live, high atop Uncle Butch Studios. This has been the Media Virus Podcast, and we'll be back next week with episode 129.
I wish I could hear the bumpers through the
And we're clear.
headphones.